Hello, welcome to Mideast in Depth, part of Levant TV's Press Reviews. Special Los Angeles Times correspondent Nabih Bulos reported from Beirut, and staff reporter Patrick McDonough, writer also for the New York Times, wrote from Lyon in France. They tell us about Syrian President Bashar Assad's sober assessment of the state of his forces on Sunday, where he acknowledged a manpower shortage and conceded troop withdrawals from some areas, but asserted that the military was not facing collapse. The president defended a controversial triage strategy that has seen forces pull back from some zones while reinforcing units in other parts of the country. He said, "Are we giving up areas?" And he asked and posed a series of questions about the government's strategy. Why do we lose other areas, and where is the army in some of the areas? The Syrian president endeavored to provide answers, but it was an open question whether his responses would reassure loyalists worried that the government could be losing its hold on the embattled country. Syrian President Bashar Assad added important areas must be specified for the armed forces to hold on to, so as to prevent the collapse of the other areas. Assad also thanked his allies, notably Iran, while taking the West to task for supporting terrorism, the Syrian government's standard term for the armed opposition fighting to wrest control of the country. The core areas under government control include the capital Damascus and the strategic corridor north to the cities of Homs and Hama, and west to the Mediterranean coast, a pro-government stronghold. Despite threatened supply lines, government forces also have maintained control over roughly half of the northern city of Aleppo, divided for more than 3 years between loyalists and opposition forces. Various rebel offensives to take full control of the city have made little headway. The Los Angeles Times reports Syrian authorities have been actively seeking to increase military recruitment in recent months, a sign of the shortage of fighters across a sprawling battlefield that stretches from the country's northern fringes to its southern tip, and from its western borders to its eastern frontier. And now we are joined by renowned Syrian political analyst and commentator, Mr. Nidal Naisi. Thank you very much for being on the show today. Mr. Nidal.
Hello, good evening to you.
Thank you. Mr. Nidal, what do you think of President Assad's speech, and why do you think for the first time Mr. Assad admits of the setbacks in Syria?
Good evening to you all. First of all, I don't think that they are setbacks as well as they are kind of transparency and live talk about what is happening on the front. We must not forget that this war has been waiting for about 50 months, so that we have to expect this war didn't end yet. We expect first of all everything in this war. We have to expect victories. We have to expect some setbacks, as you call it. We have to expect some retreats, and we have to expect some progress in certain places. And as the President Assad put it, there are important or strategic areas in that war, so that we must, or they must keep it, or they must fight for it, as there are second-hand places or areas which they may give it up for a while, and then they will go and free it again. I see this is a kind of confidence, of self-confidence. When you are self-confident, you can talk in this transparent and frank way. You see the speech, the tone, the accent of President Assad was so self-confident and so sure of the victory at the end. We know that the wars all over the world, for example, Second World War lasted for 4 years also, and the Germans entered Paris and went to the borders of Moscow, but finally they were defeated. And these are not, I think, for a while, we can't consider them as setbacks, as it is a war progress, a war in progress. Sometimes the military forces keep, as I said, some places and areas, and sometimes they give them up.
Do the Syrian people believe that there will be a victory soon against ISIS?
I can't hear you well.
Do the Syrian people there on the ground believe that ISIS will be defeated eventually?
Well, in fact, we have been watching or following this war for about, as I said, 50 months for now. Any battle and any confrontation with the Syrian National Army ends with a victory for the Syrian National Army. The Syrian National Army is finding its own land, its own country, its own homeland. They are fighting their people. But most of these ISIS, as you know, they are mercenaries. They are paid warriors. They came to Syria to fight for others, to fight, to launch wars against Syrians, so that they are not defending for any case, for anything. They are working only for money. The Syrian people and the Syrian army is fighting their battle of existence, so that as I said, we have been fighting this war for the last 50 months, and the Syrian National Army is achieving battle in every time. This is on the one side. On the other side, we can also notice an international trend to fight this terrorist ISIS organization, which are fighting now in 3 or 4 or 5 countries in the area. They are fighting in Iraq, they are fighting in Syria, and they are fighting in Turkey. Now battles are going in Turkey. So that I think this there is an international will to defeat this terrorist organization. And there is, as we all noticed, the suggestion of President Putin to have an alliance, a local or regional alliance to fight ISIS. And I think that President Assad was, in a way or another, expressing this suggestion by President Putin. And the French aid and assistance and backing to Syria to fight ISIS.
Thank you very much.
There is also one final thing that, as we all noticed, the agreement between Iran and the superpower about its nuclear program, which may, as we all know, make things make more files in the area as a matter of debate, and to solve these questions or this war which are going now.
Thank you very much. Political analyst and commentator Mr. Nidan Al-Aisi joined us from Latakia in Syria. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you very much.
And for more updates, please visit our website on levant.tv. Or subscribe to Mideast in Depth on iTunes. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.